people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that early next year, Denmark's own former IBF champion, current reigning WBC silver titleist Sarah Mahfoud will be returning to action against unbeaten up-and-comer from Italy, Michelle Braga, in what will be a defense of Sarah's WBC silver title in the women's featherweight division. Featherweight, that's where Amanda Serrano currently reigns as that division's undisputed champion, the same Amanda Serrano that gave Sarah Mahfoud her lone defeat in what was their unification match. This past calendar year, Sarah has done a very good job of not only rebounding off that loss, but keeping busy and keeping active. Sarah Mahfoud being nowhere near as experienced as an Amanda Serrano, the best thing she can do to at least hope to get there one day is to keep busy, keep active, keep getting out there, and keep winning fights. Sarah Mahfoud sports a professional record of 14 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 3 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 15 professional bouts, which is saying a lot because she actually managed to go the distance with Amanda Serrano, one of the hardest punchers in the entire sport of women's boxing. She's going to be facing Michelle Braga, who's nowhere near as experienced as Amanda, or Sarah for that matter, sporting a professional record of 6 wins with no losses, no draws, and no recorded knockouts. Believe it or not, Michelle Braga is actually pretty good, just inexperienced, a lot less experienced than Sarah Mahfoud, which gives Sarah the edge here, though for what it's worth, Michelle Braga isn't bad, shows some ability. This would be the most opportune time for a fighter like Sarah to fight a fighter like Michelle Braga, when Michelle is less experienced, hasn't shared the ring with any world-class fighters. She has been active in the last 12 months. She debuted as a professional last year and fought 3 times last year and 3 times this one. And they actually share a common opponent, Sarah Mahfoud and Michelle Braga. They share a common opponent in Veronica Tosi. Both won points decisions against Veronica Tosi, and now they're going to be sharing the ring with each other. As stated, Michelle Braga was busy this year. She fought 3 times last year and 3 times this one, so she's got no ring rust or cobwebs that she needs to shake off, and the same applies to Sarah Mahfoud. Sarah Mahfoud was also very active this year, having fought 3 times this year, coming off a points decision win over former champion and Argentinian legend Marcela Acuña. That's really what separates them. Not just that Sarah Mahfoud has more professional bouts than Michelle Braga, but she's fought more experienced fighters, far more experienced fighters than Michelle Braga has. And experience really is the best teacher. Amanda Serrano, Marcela Acuña, Brenda Karen, Carabajal, and Nina Menke. These are all more experienced fighters than any of the fighters that Michelle Braga has fought so far. Michelle Braga, who actually shows some ability. She's just inexperienced. That's the main drawback she has going into this fight with Sarah Mahfoud. Though what she does show some ability, some movement, decent jab, decent backhand, good snap on the punches. She's not half bad. For a fighter with only 6 professional bouts, there is some ability there. You can see it, though it's not fully developed. She's not completely rounded out as a fighter, whereas Sarah's movement, her shot selection, it's a lot more put together. It's a lot more purposeful and poised. There is a nervous, frenzied energy to Michelle Braga that you really don't see from Sarah, and that's what experience does. It rounds out the fighter. I want to say that Sarah Mahfoud's best punches are her straight punches, her long-range punches from the outside coming in, whereas Michelle Braga's sweet spot seems to be mid-range to inside. She's actually not half bad there. It's just that those eggs need more bacon. She does a bit of shifting, a bit of switch hitting. I feel like switch hitting is, in this era, what the Philly shell was in the previous one? We know that Floyd Mayweather helped to popularize the Philly shell. You started seeing a lot of young fighters using it, though not with Floyd's know-how and expertise. I feel the same applies to switch hitting in this era. You see a lot of fighters switch from orthodox back to southpaw, back over to orthodox, and the main advantage, the virtue of being a switch hitter, is that you can condition the opponent to look for punches from a certain angle, so once you switch over, that will throw them off. But when you're switching several times in a single round, you're not really conditioning the opponent for anything. As stated, Michelle Braga does a bit of switch hitting, though it's not purposeful. Sarah Mahfoud's got the edge. Sarah Mahfoud's got the edge in terms of experience, more rounds in the bank, more know-how, better quality of competition, and more purposeful punching, more purposeful movements. And if nothing else, she has home field advantage. This fight is going down in Sarah's neck of the woods, Denmark. So Sarah Mahfoud on point. Seems logical. Seems like a fight where she's gonna have to work for the W. She's gonna have to work for the victory because Michelle Braga, while she's not as experienced, she does have some ability. Though I expect Sarah's experience to shine through, I expect Sarah to show a bit more spite and a bit more spice than what she showed in the Amanda Serrano fight, because Michelle Braga is no Amanda Serrano, and Sarah actually has a decent jab right hand combination whenever she lets it go. Her best punches are her long range punches from the outside coming in. I think that in tandem with a bit of movement and timing, it will make all the difference. Sarah Mahfoud on points is the way to go. What is a defense of her WBC silver title? Look for that early next year. In men's lightweight news, a brief back and forth between Isaac Cruz and Gervonta Davis. Isaac Cruz, who went as far as tagging both Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, waving to them, to which Gervonta Davis responded, "I beat your ass with one hand, rockhead." Rumor has it that he will be fighting Isaac again. Rumor has it that Amazon Prime will be the distributor of the pay-per-view. Rumor has it that it will be for the full WBA title that Devin Haney vacated, because as stated and as I've told you many times over the years, the only way Gervonta Davis fights for a full title at lightweight is if no one is holding it. He's been WBA regular champion as of 2019 when he fought for the vacant WBA regular title, not the full title, the secondary one. He's been WBA regular champion for approximately 4 years. And in those 4 years, he never once used that WBA regular title to challenge either Vasyl Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos, or Devin Haney as their mandatory challenger, even though he could have. That's the function of the WBA regular title. That's literally what it's for. Looks like he's gonna end up fighting Isaac Cruz 2 times before he fights any of them once. Think about it. Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney, they're gone. They already moved up to the super lightweight division, and afterwards, Devin plans on moving up to welterweight. Vasyl Lomachenko is still down there at lightweight, but what are the odds that Gervonta Davis ever gets around to fighting him? How long have we been waiting for that fight? How long has it been? 6 years since 2017. That's how long we've been waiting for that bus to arrive. Needless to say, I'm not holding my breath. I don't expect that Gervonta Davis is going to fight any of these fighters as I predicted and as I expected. It's looking more and more like he's going to fight Isaac again, who nobody is asking him to fight. The kind of matchmaking that saw Showtime leave the sport of boxing after 37 years in it. That's where all of Gervonta Davis's box office fights have taken place, on the Showtime platform. And even after Stefan Espinoza and Al Heyman jointly have run Showtime Boxing into the ground, for some reason Gervonta Davis's fans, his core supporters, still think he's the biggest draw in boxing.
And many of those Tank Davis's fights sold more pay-per-views than anyone.
That he sells more than anybody and everybody.
But when I say anyone, I'm not including the likes of Paul and those guys. I'm talking about boxing fans. I'm talking about like real boxing matches.
That's true. Then why did Showtime end up leaving the sport of boxing after airing all of his boxing matches, all of his pay-per-views? If he sells more than anybody and everybody, why isn't he on the Forbes list like Canelo, like Anthony Joshua? Those are the top earners in the sport of boxing, not Gervonta.
The only fight that you were in that people really showed up for was the Garcia fight. The other ones didn't sell shit.
If we're using actual facts and stats, if we're going off the actual numbers, Gervonta is neither the first, second, third or even the fourth biggest draw in the sport. There are several fighters that have put up way bigger numbers than he has. The only time this kid put anything up semblant of numbers, actual numbers, robust pay-per-view buys, was with the help of Ryan Garcia.
Only guys like Darren Hodges fuck with you, and it's not enough of them. Because you needed Ryan to crack 1 million buys.
Yeah,
and all his Instagram followers.
Dude, stop it.
A fact that his supporters still wrestle with to this day.
You said Tank needed Ryan. What happened to Ryan's last fight? How do you go from selling to pay-per-view fights to fighting for free?
Hurrah.
Who up here called Ryan the face of boxing? Who did that?
You said it was because of Ryan.
Did I say Ryan? No, yeah, I said Ryan helped you sell those pay-per-views. It's a fact.
You said,
it's the only time you ever did 1 million buys.
You know what you were implying.
They resent the fact that without Ryan Garcia, Gervonta, after 5 consecutive pay-per-view appearances, never put up anything close to 1 million or even 500,000 pay-per-view buys.
Now that I answered your question, can you tell me how many times has Gervonta done 1 million buys?
That's not the point, though.
That he needed Ryan to help him. He needed Ryan to help him sell it because on his own, he can't do numbers like that.
So how many times did he do 1 million without Ryan? Did he do 1 million without Ryan?
But once
yes
again,
or no, bro.
What? Okay,
it's a yes or no question.
Okay, great. No. So what does that mean?
That means that he helped you sell the fight.
So what is he going to do with an Isaac Cruz rematch? What is he going to do with this?
Well, no matter how much his fans like to exaggerate online, if he fights Isaac again, that's going to be a sharp descent, a sharp decline from the numbers he just put up with Ryan Garcia. Nobody's asking him to fight Isaac again. So if he does, on the Amazon platform or somewhere else, you're going to see a sharp drop in sales.
Regardless of what his fans think, his fans who like to think that he's the A-side to everybody. He's the A-side to everybody at or around these weights.
Bro, I would say he's the fucking A-side. Now, Mr. A-side, are you making an offer to any of these people?
He's the A-side. You don't have to.
Must be the A-side in spirit because he's certainly not the A-side in terms of practice, business practices. That for the A-side fighter, the onus is on him to send out offers to his contemporaries, to all these other young guys that are out there, these guys that he's not fighting, and his core supporters. His fans might be all right with that, but there's not enough of them for him to crack 500,000 or 1 million pay-per-view buys by fighting Isaac again. They give him all the credit for the Ryan Garcia numbers, the numbers that fight brought in.
So how many times did he do 1 million without Ryan? Did he do 1 million without Ryan?
But
as if Ryan had nothing to do with that.
Once
yes
again,
or no, bro?
What? Okay,
it's a yes or no question.
Okay, great. No.
Well, all right then. Let's see Gervonta Davis put up those same numbers without Ryan. Let's see him put up those numbers with Isaac.
I'll bet you he doesn't, because contrary to the opinions of a few, just a few, this kid's nowhere near as big a draw as they'd like him to be, as he's made out to be. And if all you're gonna do at Amazon Prime, now that you're in bed with them, is package and sell the same crap you were selling at Showtime, I imagine that relationship may not last that long. We have to question, what's the length of the Amazon Prime deal? How long is that going to be the arrangement? How long is that going to go on?
The Isaac Cruz rematch may end up being one of the first fights they market on that platform they distribute. What do you think it's going to do? It's going to do the Ryan Garcia numbers.
No, I don't think it will. And if it doesn't, I wonder how Amazon is going to feel about that.
You essentially ran Showtime Boxing into the ground, making these kinds of fights.
And now what you want to do is the same thing on Amazon Prime. Well, all right. We'll see how that goes. It was Teofimo Lopez, not but a few weeks ago, who adequately stated, Gervonta Davis, he doesn't have to go above B level. I think he was generous. I'd say it's more like C or D level. Gervonta Davis's quality of competition. And what a Gervonta Davis fan might immediately point out upon hearing this is that Lopez is in no position to talk because he lost to George Kambosos.
So answer the question, would Tank Davis beat Kambosos?
Speaking of Kambosos, did you know that immediately after Kambosos won the belts, they were trying to get Tank in the ring?
They tried.
And Tank didn't make them an offer.
First of all, Cambosos don't bring no money here in the U.S.
As opposed to Isaac Cruz, who nobody knew, or as opposed to Mario Barrios, who nobody knew. It's not exactly like Tank is fighting big names and money makers. At the time that George won the belts from Teofimo Lopez, he pulled off one of the bigger upsets in postmodern boxing, at least in the last 5 years or so. And he had a profile and his name was buzzing, looking for a fight with Gervonta Davis before they even landed on Devin Haney. Much to their chagrin, Gervonta Davis wasn't interested and never made them an offer.
And instead of highlighting how there was an opportunity right there for Gervonta Davis to become a bona fide two-division champion by beating a champion in order to be a champion, instead of highlighting this, what his fans would rather do is speculate.
So answer the question, would Tank Davis beat Cambosos?
Speaking of Cambosos, did you know that immediately after Cambosos won the belts, they were trying to get Tank in the ring?
They tried.
And Tank didn't make them an offer.
First of all, Cambosos don't bring no money here in the U.S.
These are not intelligent people. That needs to be understood. Thus, they won't make intelligent arguments or have anything intelligent to say. Their attachment to Gervonta Davis actually has more to do with tribalism and what bits and pieces they may have in common with him than anything pertaining to boxing. Actual boxing, the sport of boxing, and discussing it. These guys don't know fucking nothing about boxing. All they know is they like Gervonta Davis.
Maybe they like his tattoos. Maybe they like that he's from Baltimore. Maybe they like him for the simple fact that he used to be Floyd's fighter, or that he fights under Al Heyman's PBC banner. Maybe that's what they like about him. Maybe they like that he wears a purse.
Maybe they're the kind of guys that wear purses too. The way they're so enamored with Gervonta Davis, not even based on what he's doing or who he's fighting, but for the simple fact that they might have one or two things in common with him. In any event, what needs to be understood is you're not talking to intelligent people, so don't expect intelligent arguments and don't expect them to have anything intelligent to say. When Teofimo Lopez says that Gervonta Davis doesn't have to fight above B level, I think he missed it.
I think he meant C and D level, because those are the kind of fighters that he fights. C and D level fighters. Perhaps it's because those are the only fighters he can look good against. If you put him in there with somebody solid, somebody elite.
Maybe he doesn't stay in character. Maybe he can't. He's fighting fighters that are all cut from the same cookie cutter. Nobody's asking him to run it back with Isaac Cruz. There are better, more attractive fights to make at 135 and 140 that fiscally would yield a bigger return. In spite of that, who are they looking at? They're looking at Isaac again, likely because they beat him once.
They figure they can beat him again. They're playing it safe, and they always have been. It's very obvious.
For that reason, I wonder how this kind of matchmaking is going to go over on the Amazon Prime platform, and what metrics, what numbers, if any, that's going to bring in. Because if it don't bring in no numbers, this partnership could be short-lived.